My friends, the great experiment.
Prodigy.
Prodigy. Hidden. Trick.
Would you look at that?
The greatest trick.
And you people, you're all astronauts on some kind of Star Trek.
The greatest trick.
Welcome to Greatest Trek. It's a new Star Trek podcast from the makers of The Greatest Generation. I'm Ben Harrison.
I'm Adam Pranica.
It's an away game for you,
I know.
my friend.
Yeah.
You've done, over the years, something that I really admire, which is defending your free time from the show. I will often, throw a microphone and an audio interface and a laptop into luggage when I go on a trip with my family or whatever, because I'm like, I'll just do the podcast while I'm there. And I admire the fact that that's pretty much a no-go for you most of the time. But right now, you are away from home. Do you want to reveal where you are, or do you don't want to dox yourself?
Oh, yeah. I mean, by the time anyone hears this, they won't know I will have been in Nashville for a couple of days. And just to put a timestamp on it, during maybe one of the worst storms they've ever had here.
Whoa.
Tell me if this has ever happened to you. I went to bed last night at a reasonable hour at a regular non-vacation time. And I was awoken at 3 a.m, local, by tornado alarms.
Oh, shoot.
And just to let you know, I'm staying in downtown Nashville, a city, a major American city.
Yeah.
And so this is unusual. And then a moment later, my watch and my phone go off in that way that people who have Apple products are familiar with when there's a missing person or a silver or an amber alert or whatever. Just the worst sound imaginable is what your phone and your watch make. Made even worse by the time that I heard it. And then, on the heels of that, the alarm within the hotel goes off, and a PA system that I wasn't aware existed, but
Wow.
I probably should have assumed exists in all major American hotels. Dude's voice gets on the PA and is like, "This is a tornado warning. All guests, please come down to the lobby to shelter in place." And I did not do that. Because it was 3 a.m. I was really tired, and I was like, I'm in a hotel.
Yeah.
If a tornado takes out this hotel, then fuck me, that's just bad luck.
The lobby isn't extra shielded from whatever that would be.
That was the gamble that I made at that moment. I was like, I would rather be in this bed listening to the alarms than in a hotel lobby listening to the complaints of a bunch of strangers, which would have happened because the tornado warning, I turned on the TV and got the local weather station take on the whole thing. And the radar is showing nothing but red for 100 miles around me.
Jesus.
It was so intense.
Damn.
I did not get to bed until close to 5 just because it was riveting to be in the middle of an emergency like this that I'm totally unfamiliar with. I didn't grow up or live in the South or the East Coast in a way that made this a reality that it is for so many people who live here.
Yeah. I remember there was a hurricane that came through New York at one point when I lived there, and it was a whole day of just sitting waiting for something to happen and keeping the news on and keeping the bathtub full of water and wondering how bad it was going to get. And it wound up being a total nothing burger for us where we were. But yeah, the tornadoes are intense. My mom, when she was a little girl, lived in Kansas City, I want to say, and had the tornado come through where they had to get up and everybody go down into the cellar.
Yeah.
And when they came back up, their house was not there anymore. It literally got pulled off of the foundation and blown away. It's a trip thinking that nature can do that.
Yeah. I mean, up until now, the only similar thing I've had experience with was being known as the tongue tornado in college.
Sure. I mean, I know that you You're also a guy that really likes to pack light. On this trip, did you happen to bring Bassard collectors with you? Because I know that you can get deuterium from tornadoes.
Well, if I had tried, I would have been doubly stopped at TSA because, as happens every time I pack recording gear, the bag got kicked and looked through and added a tight 15 minutes to my transit through security. So, really great fun. Oh, another awful aspect to this trip I need to tell you about is I'm just dumping on you about my travel. I traveled next to a person who took 2 40-pound bulldogs with them.
Whoa.
And sat them in the middle seat between us for the entire 4-hour flight. And let me tell you something. These were not service dogs. They were terrible. They were all over me, all over my shit, shedding all over the place. It was a nightmare. I made the 4-hour face for the entire trip.
Were they English bulldog, French bulldog? What kind of bulldog are we talking here?
The kind that can't breathe through their face.
Well, most of them can't breathe through their face.
In any hole.
Yeah.
I can't tell the difference. I'm a dog racist. I can't tell between the bulldogs, Ben.
I think that we've only flown with Dar twice, and it was like one of them was just like to move out to LA, and we were like, okay, he never goes on a plane again.
Yeah. I think most people who do it once promise never to do it again.
Yeah.
My row companion clearly did not subscribe to that philosophy at all.
Well, he did the like belly of the plane thing, and when you do that, like one of the things that they don't allow is short nosed breeds. Like any dog that can't breathe like that is like not eligible to go under the plane. So
I was shocked to encounter these 2 dogs.
Yeah.
Through, I want to say, like, no fault of their own. This was a shitty owner who, and another data point to the whole experience, was kissing them on the face for hours. Like, loudly making kissy sounds with them.
Oh, for real?
In a way that could be heard over the sound of my noise-canceling headphones.
Wow.
It was truly one of the most baffling flying experiences I've ever had.
So if you had a diagnosed case of misophonia, you could probably get like a pretty good settlement out of the airline for this, because like that's a misophone's personal nightmare, right?
Oh, I got my points, Ben. The email was sent as soon as I got to the hotel.
Well, I hope aside from the near-death experience overnight and the semi-gross experience on your way
it's
there,
all better from here, right?
Your trip is going to go great, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the birthday party I'm hoping to attend hasn't been canceled yet, even though the storm watch remains and everything is basically under a red flag alert. I was able to sneak out of my hotel room and get some peg leg porker, and that was the only time spent out of the hotel.
Nice. Let's collect some more Bassard as we launch into our review of Season 2, Episode 12 of Star Trek Prodigy. It's called Last Flight of the Protostar, Part 2.
You know the greatest danger facing us is an irrational fear of the unknown.
On my mark, go fast.
But the ship we begin on is Voyager A! And it looks like it's a kind of mop-up duty happening as they gather the severed tentacles of the loom. Ben, were you hoping for more gore? I kind of, like, when you look at the loom panthers, I was kind of thinking that there would be some guts.
Right.
When you hack into those tentacles, it doesn't seem like it's a very messy process.
Ever since the advent of CG, I feel like so much of film horror has been about people like coughing up black crud.
Yeah.
You fall into some crud or something?
And like black crud crawling into your mouth, black crud crawling out of your mouth, black crud coming out of your eyes. Like, the loom are made of the stuff of film horror. like the modern film horror language is black crud. That's what the loom are. More guts. I agree.
I'm just going to chalk this up to kid show stuff.
Yeah,
you can't,
it's gotta
you
be
can't make
kid
it
show.
too gory, I guess.
Got to hold back on the crud for the kiddos.
Yeah.
Get some water, wipe off that crud.
So yeah, their ship was pretty torn up by the loom attack, and they're doing a lot of fixing things up. And Janeway is logging about this and talking about how her proteges jumped into a hole and went on a mission, and they're just going to have to hope that goes okay, because that's how the galaxy will get saved.
People are catching themselves up on the whole idea of Wesley Crusher, too. There's a moment here where you get to study up, if you're a crew person, on what his whole deal is.
And did he have the lobster hands, or was that the other guy? Like, that's the kind of stuff they're clearing up for themselves.
How'd they get the file photo of him? That's the continuity error that kind of bumped me here.
Yeah, because it's not like young Wesley Crusher in the file photo.
Wesley, the boy.
The boy. Young Wesley Crusher.
My son.
No, it's old Wesley Crusher. Just look at him.
Wesley, the boy.
The boy.
Old.
Wesley Crusher.
My son.
It's nice that we get both drops in this episode.
Yeah.
So we have a McLaughlin group
Issue 1.
among the secret mission staff of Mark,
Oh, hi, Mark.
Janeway, Tysus, and Dr. Tusk. And they talk about how they are still waiting to hear from Chakotay and or the crew that's gone missing. No information for them on that front. But Dr. Tusk has done a little bit of looking into this Wesley Crusher character and has made a connection on behalf of Admiral Janeway. And that is a FaceTime opportunity, like a celebrity meet and greet with Dr. Crusher.
Just look at Dr. Crusher. She looks great.
Now, is Jack already in the picture at this point?
Yes.
Is he a little baby?
Great question. The timeline aspect of this gives me a headache to think about, but
Because she says she hasn't seen Picard in a few years,
yeah.
but she doesn't let on that she's like alienated from the entire D crew in this conversation.
Right.
Like the Shinzon Incident gets a name check, and the Romulan space lift gets a name check in this conversation. So like we are situating this at some specific point in the timeline. But I was just wondering, like, is Jack running around in Pampers just outside a frame, or
Seems like it.
he's like in elementary school? What's going on with Jack?
I love the name checking of the Shinzon. Even the hardest core Star Trek fans probably had to look that one up.
Oh, I for sure did not. I think about Shinzon all the time.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
I try not to think about them or the movie they're from.
I would love for there to be a TNG movie reboot, new cast, bring back Tom Hardy as Captain Picard.
Huh. I think people would hate that. But I want to tell you this also. I think it is just as likely to get made as any other idea I've heard.
I think it would be cool. I think that they should do a reboot cast movie with the TNG cast. I think they should do a reboot cast movie with the DS9 cast. I think they should do a reboot cast movie with the Voyager cast. I want to see all of these.
I'm tired of reboots.
Like, why all the TOS love forever and no other things? Like, more shit about the ones I grew up with. Fuck the boomers. They already got their reboots.
I don't want any reboots at all. I just don't. I'm so tired.
It's the only thing we get. So we, like, at least make it a reboot of something I like,
You know what? That's a great call. If it's going to be gruel, make it tasty gruel.
Everything is corporations just making fan fiction of prior art that they happen to own the IP of. So if we're going to get nothing but corporate funded fan fiction, I would like it to be good fan fiction about my favorite shit, not older people's favorite shit.
As long as it's in the right hands.
Yeah.
I could probably go along with that.
Yeah.
Dr. Crusher, not only has she not seen Captain Picard in a while, she clearly has not seen the boy in a while either, because Janeway seems to know more about how he's doing than she does.
I hear you've seen my son.
Yes.
How is he?
He saved our lives, but seemed erratic.
Janeway's like, what, any ideas why your son would have like tricked all my cadets into jumping into a hole? And she's like, no, I mean, he's a really good boy, so it was probably a good reason, but that's all I can tell you.
Yeah. We cut over to Yasida, where the work on converting the Protostar into a sailboat is well underway at this point, and everyone has a part to play in the conversion, even though there is just so much complaining by the kids during.
Yeah. Jankum Pog is doing most of the like actual shit, it seems like, and the rest of them are just carrying things around. And Dal is getting ridden pretty hard by Chakotay as the ship boatification process gets underway.
I really love how instrumental Hollow Janeway is at reminding us what's going on here. Like this character practically suggests a recap section to the episode.
Yeah. Perhaps we should review the plan once more before launch.
Sounds great.
That Chakotay is then able to present to the kids and us.
Yeah. How about some exposition to move things along? Yeah, I also just love that she can't leave the ship. So every time she's talking to them, she's like down a hatch or something, or like pretty far away or whatever.
I recap the show or I get the hose again. Like that's the angle. It's down while she's like inside a hatch.
Why are there holographic fingernails stuck in the wall of this ship? It's almost like other hologram girls have tried to claw their way out of here. Anyways, the plan is this. We've got to get across this high-density vapor ocean to a storm on the other side of it that is swirling and big and electric and full of deuterium. In the middle, there's deuterium. They've got the matter and antimatter, and now they just need the fuel to make this work. So that's the plan. And we get like one of those intervalometer shots that shows like the sun going up and down a whole bunch of time. Like this is days and days of work, it looks like.
Yeah. I love that time-lapsey kind of moment we get here. That looks really cool.
Yeah.
Would you look at that?
So the plan is to sail the Protostar toward this storm and collect the gas that the Birdman discovered on the planet with the ram scoops. And once they do that, they should be able to immediately go to warp.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
Birdman really did all the hard work.
Do they have his body? Are you clear on what happened to it, or is it still covered in crystals?
Crystals!
Am I misremembering that they buried him? Was there like a scene where they were like piling up rocks like Captain Kirk after he and Picard fought that old guy?
They have to have done that.
Yeah.
You can't just leave him propped up like that.
You just can't, guys.
It's time to go, and the way they are going to get the ship off of the sand dune that it's marooned on and down into the vapor ocean is by flexing the nacelles against the ground. And they try that, but the ship gets stuck against a rock, and Dal's like, hey guys, no problem. I've got a great idea to haul that rock away. And his idea is like every guy that has a stock F-150 that they add a winch to. Just like, I just want to tow something away with my truck. That's all I want in the world.
Great moment. Dal is that guy.
The thrust is clearly inadequate. He doesn't give up easily.
As that guy often finds, it doesn't work. And instead, Chakotay goes and gets a really long lever and spits some Archimedes bars while he levers the rock away. And it's, in fact, the simple machine of lever that was the answer to the problem.
This is the nerdiest spiking of the football ever that Chakotay does here.
Yeah, it's like if you could spike the football while the back of your underpants were stretched up over your forehead in an atomic wedgie, like both things at the same time.
Yeah, no one's ever done this on a football field to anyone else because the athletes wouldn't get it.
Give me a lever and a place to stand, and I can move the world! What the hell is here? Huh?
Everyone loves the Archimedes lever celebration once someone scores a touchdown.
It's if Martin from The Simpsons was the star of the football team.
Yeah. This sequence is great, though, for what it does to relative mass. Like, outside of the whole leverness of the science, that moment where the nacelles flex to move the ship, that moment where you see the difference in size and mass between the little go-kart and the ship.
Yeah.
I really love all these ways to convey the size of this thing.
Yeah, it's really cool. I was pretty sad that they ditched the truck at the end. Like,
but doesn't Protostar build as many trucks as it wants once it has power?
I guess it can 3D print more trucks.
Yeah. These are disposable.
Disposable truck, man. So, yeah, they slide down into the vapor, and now we're sailing, baby. And Chakotay kind of splits everybody up to all the different jobs that there are to do on a sailboat, and makes some interesting choices.
Yeah.
He puts the one that can't communicate on lookout duty, so what is being seen off the prow of the ship can't be cogently communicated to the rest of them.
Ben, is it just hack to have made Chaos Murf the sail?
I mean, it's occurring to me in every moment of this sequence because, like, when the sail starts to come apart, I'm like, the only answer is going to be Chaos Murf. You know,
I want to have too much fun with Murf. That's my problem, and the show consistently chooses against that. Instead,
I feel like it's Chaos Chakotay putting Murf on lookout duty and Dal on tiller, because Dal is like steering the ship, and like almost immediately they're heading for some really spiky looking rocks, and Dal is a fucking kid, so he doesn't know about the counterintuitive nature of steering a sailboat. No. You push the thing away from where you want to go.
Oh, that makes this scene make sense.
Yeah, like Gwyn and Chakotay have to push him out of the way and take over steering duty because he does get them dinged up, but almost gets them crashed against the rocks.
This feels good, right? This feels like Star Trek. It feels like every time Archer crashes a shuttle pod against his own ship, you know?
I don't know what that was, but let's not do it again, okay?
There's that moment of danger where you can't quite squeeze through the hole.
They get through the hole. Rock Talk is done with this shit and leaves the deck. And we just get a little like on deck business. Like there's some Magell and Zero thirstiness stuff, and Dal bumming out about not being good enough to be captain even of the sailing version of the Protostar. And Chakotay like sits down with him and gives him some hard-learned advice based on having made the mistake of becoming a terrorist one time.
I love Chakotay here. Like any counselor figure at a middle school trying to find common ground with a kid. He's like, I was like you once. And how bad I was in school made me want to join the Mayquees.
Mayquees?
And Dal's like, is that really a career path for me? Is that the trade you're recommending instead of college?
Yeah. He's like, you should have met my chief engineer. She joined because one time she kicked her cousin in half playing soccer.
I'm here to propose Generation Next Mayquees.
Not enough young people are joining terrorism organizations these days. That's why we at this old house gotten into the action.
You might be surprised at the good living you can get if you just join the Mayquees.
You can be a union member and kill Cardassians while supporting a family on a single income. Basically, the upshot of Chakotay's little speech to Dal is like, find where you're needed, and like, you think you've got this goal of being captain, and like that's going to provide meaning to your life, but what's really going to provide meaning to your life is like doing a thing that is really necessary coming from you, and that might be captaining, and it might be something else.
Did you pick up on the subtext here too that goes like, Chakotay also is someone who fell into an unrequited love with a fellow officer.
I never truly belonged until I became Janeway's number one.
You know?
If you really want Gwyn to, like, you know, give you the time of day, you need to carve her a bathtub.
Yeah. Maybe building her things to express your affection without getting any of those mutual feelings in return is maybe another shove toward Mayquees as a course of action.
He's like, hey, Dal, you're not going to understand this now, but when it comes time, you're going to know what to do with this. And he takes a number 2 pencil out of his pocket and hands it to Dal.
So perfect.
So again, Murf is seeing something off the prow of the ship. This time, it's the storm that they've been heading toward. And things start to get pretty nautical as the surf in the vapor ocean kicks up and the winds increase.
It's like an evening in Nashville outside.
Yeah, like all of the sailboat shit that they've attached to the outside of the hull starts to come apart, and their sail made out of their I guess the sail is made out of the solar collectors, right? And that's why Janeway eventually has to turn herself off.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the rudder is made out of wood.
It didn't look like there was like a lot of trees growing on that sand dune, but they found a bunch of wood.
Chakotay didn't want to dip into his number 2 pencil collection, of which he had cases and cases.
like 90% of the cargo capacity of the Protostar is taken up by Dixon Ticonderogas.
You know exactly how it smells there, too.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Nothing like the smell of a freshly sharpened pencil.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
We need to score a lot of platinum fast.
Licensed businessman.
This ship and her history will shortly become the care of another crew. They will continue the voyage as we have begun.
The greatest trek.
The ship is basically out of control and swirling this eddy, and Chakotay orders everyone below deck.
Do you remember the last time you were at a water park? Have you ever been to one? I feel like I should have asked the second question first because I shouldn't have just assumed.
Yeah, we used to go to a place called Raging Waters growing up. Yeah, it's like I think that like in the state of California, and I'm guessing a lot of the rest of the country, it's like a weirdly far distance away on a highway, and you just like drive for 2 hours, and then there's water park for some reason.
Did this park have a funnel in it? Like you go down the water slide, you do the twists and the turns, and at the very end, there's sort of a funnel where you spin and spin and spin before finally getting dumped through the middle into a pool.
That sounds cool. I don't think Raging Waters had that when I was a kid.
When I saw Protostar circling the pool, it made me think of the time where I went down the tube of this water park and went into the funnel, and I got stuck swirling in the funnel. Something about my weight as a little kid, plus the lube of the water on the plastic and my rate of spin, made it to where I was stuck spinning in this funnel for minutes and minutes without falling through the middle.
Wow.
And I couldn't stop it because I had no friction on the plastic. I was like spreading my skinny body out, trying to get any kind of drag to finally go into the pool.
Yeah, and they really impress on you, like, do not get out of the inner tube or, like, all of your teeth will get knocked out at those parks.
So I'm just stuck. Meanwhile, like, other kids are going through the middle, and I'm just, like, circling.
At a certain point, were you hoping somebody would run into you just to change the physics destiny of the situation?
Ben, that's actually what happened.
Yeah.
That's the thing that got me down in there. Saved my life.
Oh, man. You'd still be there.
I know.
You wouldn't even know what a podcast was because you'd still be spinning in that funnel.
What a way to die.
Yeah. So, yeah, the ship flips upside down. This is when the Janeway hologram comes back and explains that the emergency power is down to almost zero. And it's because they lost the solar collectors and they're out of control. They're not even going to be able to collect all this Bussard because the rudder is just flapping in the wind. This is when the plant of Archimedes' quotes pays off big time because they realize they can use a lever to fix the rudder. I don't know why I'm being so hostile to this show having like an educational moment.
This technique was a mystery to me. Chakotay never showed me his Archimedes lever. I didn't want to see it.
So they go back up on the hull, but this time they're on the belly of the ship, and they go to unwedge the debris, and they're like getting it all away from the rudder so that the rudder can steer, and the ram scoops open and the tanks start filling up. But then Chakotay goes over the side, and it is the heroic Dal who jumps to save him without a thought for his own safety.
What an amazing sequence this was to pay off the idea of this being so lake-like, so body of water-like.
Yeah.
When he goes over, there is a sequence straight out of Baywatch where Chakotay goes deeper and deeper, and Dal has got to dive and do that thing where he's pulling himself deeper and deeper to try to save him, finally untying the safety rope from himself in order to go even further.
Yeah.
I thought all of the, like, I'm just going to call them camera angles, it seemed like it was shot underwater. It felt like a water rescue in all of the ways.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
And it sort of seems like they're going to be gone. I almost felt like the rest of the crew was like getting themselves accustomed to the idea that Chakotay and Dal had died.
I mean, if you're going to take two off the board,
yeah,
I think you can bargain with that.
Yeah. It would certainly be interesting.
Yeah.
Zero is like middle of pronouncing them dead by saying that they can't sense their presence anymore. And then a bunch more of those eels show up, and like an orca saving a kayaker from something. From a shark?
Like they always do.
I feel like orcas are like either attacking a yacht in the Mediterranean or like doing some unbelievably altruistic thing to a kayaker in the Pacific Northwest. Maybe they just like the people of the Pacific Northwest more than they like the assholes of the Mediterranean Sea.
I think they're just moody beasts.
Yeah.
That's why I respect them.
Yeah. How do you think an orca would have reacted to getting stuck next to a couple of bulldogs on a 4-hour cross-country flight?
I think an orca would have eaten the bulldogs.
I think so too. I think that's what you needed to do, Adam.
Oh, Ben, here's another part of the story that I just remembered. So this guy, you know how the flight attendants will walk through with the basket of free snacks, the pretzels and the granola bars and so forth?
Oh, yeah.
The past snacks come through. And this fucking guy gets a couple of bags of Sun Chips, opens up the Sun Chips, and starts feeding them to the dogs. Kicking off snack time that happened for the entire flight. These dogs were getting fed people food. Ben, this was a 4-hour flight. I felt like I was seated next to a shit bomb. Like, there is no way these dogs are not going to shit a bunch of Biscoff cookie 90 minutes into this flight. I was positive it was going to happen. I bet every cent I had on that.
Yeah.
And the miracle of miracles, they did not shit.
That's amazing.
For 4 hours. However, the seat in the middle was an atrocity. It was covered in dog hair.
I bet. Did he get a beer from the beverage cart when it came around and let the dogs lap it out of one of those shallow cups?
It's not the dog's fault. I could just keep telling myself that. It's just not.
Yeah, so the eels save them. Chakotay and Dal are not going to die. They collect all of the deuterium that they needed, and the ship rockets to orbit.
Triumphant moment, huh? This felt good.
Yeah, and redemptive for a Dal who was like very embarrassed about his pickup truck tow hitch disaster and his not knowing how to steer the ship disaster.
One part of this scene that I definitely noticed was once Chakotay and Dal make it back to the ship and they're underway, and there's a moment to think and take stock of the situation, Gwyn seems very impressed with how long Dal can hold his breath.
Yeah.
Kind of a mark in his favor.
Yeah. He's like genetically augmented though, right? So like, I don't know if we know what Khan Noonien Singh's people were capable of in terms of breath play, but...
Dal's in his quarters with his ponytail tied around his own neck.
I was just going to say that. This is like David Carradine would have loved this character. Oh my God, he's got everything he needs.
Yeah. Imagine not needing to wear shoes with laces or a belt. Wherever you go, there you are, ready to masturbate.
Oh man! So they get on the scanner, and Voyager is 3,000 light years away from where they are. So the only way to get to Voyager quickly would be to use the proto drive, and therefore their fastest way back is to make a star. And so that's sort of the cliff upon which we hang at the end of this episode. Adam, did you like The Last Flight of the Protostar Part 2?
She'll always bring it home.
I was a little surprised at the note the episode ended on, which was like, don't even worry about it. We need protomatter? After what we've been through, that's going to be easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It turns all of the D's into lowercase for the Duns. The moment is so triumphant and positive. In a way, I think we're due for, because this is our second 2-part episode in a row.
Yeah. Back-to-back 2-parters. You gotta take your hand off the shift key when you're typing your Duns.
I was surprised at the plan for making the Protostar space-worthy and delighted. Mm-hmm. I thought it was really neat how they sort of A-teamed the ship together with what they had on hand and made it work. It felt really good to be in space again. I was surprised at how I felt about this ship returning to orbit. Like,
I know.
You know, so often the hero ship represents the main character of a Star Trek series.
Yeah.
And Protostar being absent from this show for as long as it has been kind of made me forget about it. But to be reminded in this way, I thought was just a really great moment in a pretty good episode.
I agree. A fun one, like fun dilemma. I love the like temporary modification of a ship to do something that it was never designed to do.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
Big strike against it for not using Chaos Murf the way Chaos Murf should be used, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he's not even a toilet in this episode. He's just nothing.
He doesn't even stretch out as the rope that Dal ties around his waist. He's fucking useless. Like when Dal gets in his captain's chair and then the ship flips over, Murf was supposed to be there holding him in. Where were you on that, Murf?
Murf, what would you say you do here?
What would you say to check in the Priority One inbox, Adam?
On my way.
Priority 1 message from Starfleet coming in on secured channel.
Adam, this is a promotional message, and it goes like this. Playwright/actor Stephen Thomas wants to get deep into the pocket of Big Rod and needs your help, FODs. How can you help? By talking about his podcasts, of course. As host of All the Web's a Stage.
Great name. God, that's so good.
That's a good name. Stephen writes and performs short plays alongside fellow actors/writers. On the Actual Play podcast, Capes and Caverns, Stephen welcomes in both players and listeners to a world where D&D meets superheroes. Listen, leave reviews and ratings, and tell the world that Stephen Thomas belongs in a Star Trek writer's room.
Stephen Thomas shooting a shot.
Shooting a shot. I mean, I respect the hell out of it, Stephen Thomas, and I hope this works out for you. Adam and I tried very hard to tell the world we belonged in a Star Trek writer's room on this very show and on our other smash hit Star Trek podcast. And it hasn't worked out so far, but...
Wynde keeps editing out those parts.
Oh, is that what it is?
I don't think the message is getting out.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because I think she wants us.
So the call to action here is search for All the Web's a Stage in your podcatcher and subscribe.
Yeah, I hope at least Stephen Thomas gets that greatest Trek bump.
Yeah.
All right, Ben, we've got a Priority 1 message here from Crusher. It's to you and me, and that message goes like this. I failed an update of my credit card details from X-Fund Drive, so here's this instead. With you guys from the start, painfully rewatching early TNG, loving DS9, reappreciating Voyager, and finally watching Enterprise for the first time. And fuck, I hate Reed. Oh shit, is this the greatest Trek by mistake? All FODs. Wholesome is great, and well worth dropping some Latinum drop.
Gotta get that gold press Latinum. Get that
Gold press Latinum.
Am I right? Yeah. Am I right? Gotta get that gold press Latinum. Get that
Gold press Latinum. Latinum. Gold press Latinum. That's a lot of Yamak songs.
Wow.
Hey, it seems like Crusher has been around the block with us.
Indeed.
On all of the shows that we've done, and knows to get a Priority 1 message on Greatest Trek with the understanding that you can get pretty much at the front of the line with any message you want.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you, Crusher. Apt that someone named Crusher would join us for this episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thanks to everyone who got a P1 today, and if you would like one for yourself, they're easy to get. You just go to MaximumFun.org/Jumbotron. Hey, Adam.
What's up, Ben?
Barnus Frank. Barnus Frank. Barnus Frank. Barnus
I didn't have one written down. I'm trying to think of it. I think what goes unspoken between Chakotay and Dahl there, the filling in of that moment that I did made it so much more enriching. Like, they really are two different versions of the same person.
Yeah.
And the potential, like, Dahl is really at a moment in his life that could go in so many different directions, and especially after having the vision of not being a captain or giving up the captain's chair himself.
Totally.
Like, I thought I knew how his story would resolve, and now I have no idea what he's going to do. And I'm thrilled by that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm going to give it to Beverly Crusher. I'm fascinated by what she is and isn't revealing in that moment.
Yeah.
Just based on what we know about the way her life went after the Shinzon incident.
I love Gates's performance in that moment. She is a really evocative voice actor.
Yeah.
Like she puts a lot of emotion in that moment in a way that really does obscure the reality of her not having seen Wesley in many, many years. like I'm feeling different emotions than mother estranged from her son.
Yeah. That's an interesting moment. Well, this is the end of the episode, and the end of every episode of Greatest Trek, we do a segment called Warning Bois, where we express our appreciation for someone who shouted out our show on the internet.
Prepare a buoy and launch it when ready.
Warning buoys.
An emergency buoy.
A warning buoy.
This is a 5-star review of Greatest Trek on Apple Podcasts from Bowtie Brian. And it goes like this. High hopes and pineapple ropes. Do you have a deep and irreverent appreciation for Star Trek on the whole?
Or
does that hole need to get jammed full of dirt so you can blast? Well, with Greatest Trek, you can have your pineapple cake and shoot ropes too. From a recently new friend of DeSoto to anyone looking for a fun-having Trek community, check out Greatest Trek and even The Greatest Generation for entertaining pod content that will keep your warp bubble intact on this long journey. Thanks, Ben, Adam, and Wynde.
High hopes and pineapple ropes sounds like the cover to a greeting card that you give someone who's just been married, you know? Like, congratulations. High hopes and pineapple ropes.
Yeah. Especially if you got married in Hawaii, right?
For sure. Yeah, I like that a lot. You can see it, right?
Yeah, tremendous. Thank you, Bowtie Brian.
Thanks, Bowtie Brian.
Thank you to everyone who leaves a nice review on Apple Podcasts or any podcast app. That really helps. And with that, we will leave this episode in Wynde's capable hands. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Wynde.
Greatest Trek is an Uxbridge Shimoda podcast on the Maximum Fun Network. It's hosted by Ben Harrison and Adam Pranica, and it's produced and edited by Wynde Priddy. Ben and Adam will be back next week with a review of Star Trek Prodigy Season 2, Episode 13. It's called A Tribble Called Quest. While harvesting bosunite on a barren world, the crew encounters aggressive, genetically modified tribbles and the Klingon scientist who created them. Big thank you to all the members who support this show financially. Members get a new bonus episode every single month from Ben and Adam, plus instant access to the entire back catalog of Max Fun's bonus content. It's easy to set it up at MaximumFun.org/join, and we really appreciate it. Thank you to Nick Ditmore, who created the show art, and Adam Ragusia, who composed the theme music. Thanks to Rob Adler and Bill Tilley for their work on the @GreatestTrek social media pages. Follow those accounts and use the hashtag #GreatestTrek when you post about the show. We're also on YouTube, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and you can find all the fun merch at podshop.biz. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week on Greatest Trek.
Maximum Fun,
a worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows.
Supported directly by you.